drive to right field. This ball is gone. Gone and into the history books.
The Seattle Mariners, Felix Hernandez, the 2-2. He got it! 34 years, 119 games. It's finally happened. A perfect game by a Seattle Mariner. It was done by the King.
And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and line down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. And they are going crazy at the Kingdom.
Welcome to the Corner of Edgar and Dave, your Seattle Mariners baseball fan podcast. And you know, Nick, I'm here with my brother Nick. We're still trying to be fans. What is your feeling coming into this podcast? This is season 3, episode 8 of the Corner of Edgar and Dave podcast, our 39th overall episode. And I'm trying to be optimistic, but this might be the most depressed I've felt coming into a podcast.
Yeah, Mariners kind of blow.
Also, because I just got roasted. I kind of know this is like an oddity thing, but every time it gets brought up, I get like re-roasted again because it just blows people's minds, but I do not like the taste of peanut butter. And literally, I was talking before we started the podcast with Gabby about this, and then I just hear Nick in my ears from the other room because I still have the headphones on. I like walked across the apartment, and obviously the microphone's good enough that he could pick us up talking faintly or whatever. And he must have, I think I said, like, you can have all the peanut butter ones. And I just literally hear the most disgusted tone in my voice, in my ear. What is wrong with you? And it's just Nick being like, how could you not like the taste of peanut butter? So, you know, I got roasted for not liking peanut butter again. So that sets me, that sets me even more into the dark place.
Can you hear me? Is my mic working? Okay, there it goes.
Yeah,
I just couldn't believe you're hiding that from me. Like, I've known you for about 25 years now.
Yeah,
and I can't believe you've kept this from me.
Known me, brother.
25 years of my life, and I didn't like peanut butter. It's like an anomaly for me.
The way I see it is it should be a good thing for most people. That means like because everyone else really likes peanut butter, right? So if we're like divvying out the candy and everyone's
it's
like
more for other people.
Yeah, it's like everyone gets the Reese's or gets the peanut butter candy that they want. Like, I'm fine just taking, you know... honestly, the only peanut buttery type thing I like is Butterfingers. But even, like, does Butterfinger have peanut butter in it?
I don't know.
What's Butterfinger?
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know.
That's pretty much... If there is any peanut butter stuff I like, it is Butterfinger.
I'm pretty sure peanut...
yeah, it's a crispy...
Are...
It's a bar consists of a layered, crispy peanut butter core covered in chocolate.
Cool. I'm glad you actually found out what it was, because I was going to make a really bad joke.
Yeah, Butterfinger's the only thing...
like the Mariners.
The Mariners are a really bad joke?
I mean, yes. Are you kidding me? Like, the whole team just, like, fucking imploded this week.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, there's bad things to talk about all around. There's just bad things to talk about all around. First, we got to cover this, Nick. Do you have any advice for us on the MLB The Show marketplace? Anything good? I want to get Shohei Ohtani. I feel like he's going to go diamond.
Buy all the Shohei Ohtanis. Are you kidding me?
I just want to get one for my team. I just want... Wait, if you get Shohei Ohtani, can you have him play positions in the field, or is he only a pitcher? Or like, what's the deal with that?
So, I think he just pitches for the Diamond Dynasty, but I mean, having a pitcher with 100 power is pretty nice.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm definitely. I'm trying to save up enough points to get myself a Shohei Ohtani. I saw that you're already into the playoffs in your franchise.
Yes,
you've been on the sim machine, huh? You've been out there simming.
Well, so I mean, we've talked about this before. Normally, when I do a franchise, I play like one game of each series. So I'll play the series opener, and then I'll sim the rest of the series, and then I'll play the next one, and then I'll sim the rest of the series. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at the end of the season. I ended up getting to game 263 against the White Sox.
I was shocked that you had to get into a play-in game. You didn't win the division?
No, I didn't go too hard on my rebuild because I like all the Mariners pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't really want to trade anyone. I think the only core Mariners that I traded was Yusei Kikuchi, and then I just traded a bunch of prospects that I didn't think were gonna get to the Mariners. So
Right. That makes sense. I made one trade. The one trade I made that I'm pretty proud of is, do you remember Alex Jackson?
yeah,
For our first overall pick? I didn't even realize this. I kind of wondered what happened to him for the longest time, so I looked it up, and I saw that I remembered he was a catcher, but I saw that he's a catcher with the Braves, and he's their backup catcher, first AAA catcher or something like that. And so I needed a catcher. Who went on? It was Tom Murphy is on the IL for me. I think I put him on the 10-day, but he's supposed to be out 3 weeks or something like that. And so I needed a backup catcher because Luis Torrens is terrible, and I brought up some other random guy that I'd never heard of, O'Keefe or something like that. And then I was like, dude, I just need to go get a real catcher of the future. So I started looking, and then I saw Alex Jackson over there with the Braves, and he was hitting 300, and I was like, yeah, let's make this happen. Made that trade. Pretty happy with myself with that trade. He's been my official starting catcher. I'm this is it. This is my catcher of the future. But otherwise, I think I texted you earlier, messaged you. I am basically the definition of baseball. I am currently right now, I'm third in the major leagues in home runs. Only a couple behind the Yankees, and I think who else is ahead of me, the Braves or something. I'm also currently tied for last place with the Yankees in strikeouts.
nice.
You would literally, if you looked at my stats, my team stats, you would think I pretty much only swing with square. And I don't. I usually swing with X. That's my normal, I swing with X. But I literally am the worst. I struck out, I just played the series against Boston. In my game against Chris Sale, I struck out 16 times.
Nice. Wow.
Against Chris Sale. Look, Chris Sale literally just had a career game against me. I'm in a real skid right now. I'm currently, I think for my last 7, I'm 2-5 in my last 7 games. I lost the last one against the Dodgers, lost the first 2 against Boston, and won the last 2 against Boston. And I've lost the first 2 against Houston, and the last one was the most devastating because I was pitching a gem with Kikuchi, got through 7 innings with Kikuchi, brought in Kendall Graveman in the 8th inning, and he gave up 3 runs or something, and I lost that game 4-3. So I'm devastated, almost as much as I am for the real life Mariners.
So I definitely can't blame you for all those strikeouts because the Mariners in the show 2021, right, have super fucking low plate discipline.
Dude, so, they have the smallest. Not only do they have low plate discipline, they have low plate vision. They have the smallest PCIs in the entire world.
Yeah, dude, playing a Mariners franchise is like being in the fucking hyperbolic time chamber and fucking DBZ.
Yeah. It's so painful.
It's terrible.
The Mariners are legitimately just terribly bad. I actually went in with a bunch of characters and especially with my relief pitchers because I was like, what is wrong with all these relief pitchers? Because the Mariners actually have a good bullpen, right? And I actually went in and adjusted the stats for a bunch of people. I made I fixed Kendall Graveman to make him more realistic to life. That's what I did. I fixed I fixed Will Vest. I fixed Misowitz and Margavicius, and who else did I think that's everyone I fixed. So I fixed a bunch of them, and then for some of the guys that were way too absurdly low, I just went in and I moved every stat up by 1 or 2 points. So I just made them an eensy-weensy a little bit better, but they're all still trash. They're all still high 60s, low 70s, and
I generally do that for the position players that I think are too weak. I don't really care too much about the bullpen because the bullpen's so volatile, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can have 99 dudes that are still give up 6.0 ERAs. It just doesn't fucking matter. Right. But so I gave Ty France. I think at the beginning of the season, I buffed him by 15 contact to right, and then all right, the rest can be right. But there's no way Ty France.
Maybe I will fix Ty France. The only reason I haven't fixed Ty France is because his character model looks like poo poo. I'm just I don't even want to play with you.
I mean. But I don't know if you remember too much, but at the beginning of the year last year, they didn't face scan Kyle Lewis. And then when Kyle Lewis was going for Rookie of the Year, they're basically all right, we need to face scan Kyle Lewis. So they contacted him, face scanned him, and now he's EA Sports in the game.
Huh, so, I don't remember that. Okay.
I mean,
Cool.
Ty France is a good enough player that, like, if he continues to play well, like he was doing,
Yeah, I mean,
he could get a face scan.
he's a starter, so like they're gonna have all the starters in. They should, right? I think they're just too dumb to realize that he was gonna be a starter. Like, they just didn't give a shit. Like, let's be honest.
No, they just don't give a shit.
Yeah, when they did the Mariners this year, they didn't give a shit. And you know what? Maybe if the Mariners keep playing this way, they're not gonna give a shit anyway.
I mean, it's literally what SSD has done for like 3 or 4 years now. They're just like, Mariners fucking blow. Let's just make them all fucking terrible. Who cares? Like, we don't need to like figure out which players are on their starting roster. We don't need to like buff the players that are good and nerf the players that are bad. Just fucking put them in the game. Pretty similar to how they were last year. Like, Kyle Seager's card is literally the exact same card from last year, and he's just like, he's 1 year older.
That's funny.
And I don't know.
I was just irritated. I was just irritated. Before you say what you say, I was just irritated with all my pitchers in the bullpen that I had to go in. I've never had to do this before. I usually just have to fix their stats a little bit. I had to go in and fix the pitches that the players threw. I had to change their pitches because San Diego Studios didn't have the right pitches for a number of Mariners players. Like starters, like bullpen guys. Like, they didn't have the right pitches for Kendall Graveman. They didn't have the right pitches for that's a number of guys. Though. That's like... I just thought, really? Is that common? I've never had to do that before in any other game.
It is. So, like, them just, like, really fucking scuffing what pitches people throw is really common. Because, like, so, you know, our boy, Edwin Diaz, Sugar, pretty famously throws a crazy fastball, a crazy slider, and then he's got a changeup, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, last year, they gave him... So, they had that combination in his pitch selection. And then all of a sudden, they were like, you know what? Let's give him fastball, changeup, two-seamer. He just doesn't have a changeup anymore. Fuck it, who cares?
No slider? He doesn't have a slider anymore?
Oh, I'm sorry. Fastball slider two-seamer.
Oh.
Like, where's his changeup? What happened to the changeup? Did he just forget
to me,
how to throw
it's just like, I did it. It took me 5 seconds. All I did is I typed in baseball savant. I'm doing it right now. Baseball savant. And then I went to freaking I typed in Graveman. Let's see. Graveman. Oh, there's Kendall Graveman. And then I, clicked on that. It's starting to load. Oh, come on, dude. You're internet. This is bad radio. Come on, internet. Okay. And then I went really simply. I was like, first pitch, 66% of the time. So that should be his number one pitch, right? Fastball. And I know that they don't designate on Baseball Savant between two-seam and four-seam, and I was kind of like, okay, well, I know I've seen Kendall Graveman pitch before, I know it's a two-seam, so I just made it a two-seam fastball that goes 97 miles per hour. It even tells you the average miles per hour right here. And then slider. I think they had like 5 pitches for Kendall Graveman. I was like, what is all this junk? And none of them were a two-seamer. And it says 88 miles per hour slider. And it's like, okay. So I'm going to give him a slider and then a changeup that goes 90 miles per hour. They had his changeup, I think, at like 82 miles per hour. I was like, no, he throws a hard changeup. Like, to me, it's not that hard. You just literally have to go to Baseball Savant and see what he throws.
They also just have Kendall Graveman in the game, like, basically as a starter. Like, he's got, like, 85 stamina, and then he's just got, like, 0 everything else. Like,
yeah,
what?
Kendall Graveman's probably not entirely fair because he literally changed positions with nothing to back that up with. Like, with no other... he only had the last, like, month of last year, right? So it wasn't clear, but like I had to do that with almost every player. Like, I think I even had to maybe go in with like Marco and fix 1 or 2 of his pitches and just be like, no, he doesn't have this pitch, he has this pitch or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, right? Marco's like kind of criminally underrated in the game because I think he's like an 82, and I mean,
dude, I kill with Marco.
3-0. Oh, I kill with Marco too, but like his sim stats are terrible. It's like he just like his K per 9 is too low for like to really strike anyone out simming.
Yeah.
And his H per 9 is a little too low for that too. So like Marco, like when you sim with him, he's just gonna give up like 4 runs in a game. Just nothing you can do about it.
Damn, that sucks. Yeah, I haven't done any simming, so it's whatever. All right, well, I guess San Diego Studios is scuffed. This podcast is scuffed. Let's talk about Mariners.
If we have to.
If we have to. Okay. It's been 2 weeks. So we actually have a lot to cover. We should start off with what we usually start off with, the best thing we saw and the worst thing we saw. Do we have the same worst thing we saw? Is it getting no hit by some scrub on the Tigers?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's you could say, if you have like an honorary mention that you were thinking of off the top of your head, you could say that. But I think that there's not really any wrong answers. After the last 2 weeks that the Mariners have had, I can just get right into it here. Let's see. Since our last podcast, we lost 2 games to the Dodgers. We went 3-1 against the Indians, almost getting no hit in that series. We went 0-3. We went 0-3 against the Tigers. The last place Detroit Tigers getting no hit by an absolute scrub, Taylor Turnbull or Spencer Turnbull. I don't even know his first name. And then we are currently sitting 0-2 against the Padres, and we play against them in like 30 minutes. And that's we can only assume it's gonna be 0-3, right? I mean, respect to Justin Dunn, but if he gives up 2 runs, it's over.
I mean, yeah, no, it's fucked, dude. So the Mariners won going against Yu Darvish today. One of the best pitchers.
Oh
in
yeah,
the entire
that's the other thing
AL,
too.
right?
Is and we're going against Yu Darvish. Yes, if Justin Dunn, like poor guy, if Justin Dunn gives up 2 runs, the game's over.
And like Justin Dunn, literally every time he throws a pitch, he like rolls the fucking slot machine, and it's like this one's a slider, we're hanging it high, and it's kind of down the middle.
He does love to hang slide. I like. Well, here's the thing. If I remember correctly, Justin Dunn's last start, he was Garbo, or am I thinking of Yusei Kikuchi? You know, because Yusei Kikuchi's last start was yesterday. I think it's Justin Dunn. He was like Garbo the first 2 innings, couldn't throw a strike, walked a bunch of guys, gave up, and then he went like 5 innings of perfect baseball or something like that.
Yeah, dude. But that's the thing. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Like. He has so little control of what he's throwing. Like, does he even know what pitch he's throwing? He just puts it in his hand and a slider comes out, or he just puts it in his hand and a fucking changeup comes out? Like I feel like every time I watch him pitch, like every like 4 or 5 pitches, like Tom Murphy or Luis Torrens is walking out to the mound, like, you know, we're doing setup too, right? Like,
oh, honorary mention. I guess here's the thing. Actually, worst thing that we saw. We got no hit by nobody, but then also that first game against the Padres on Friday night. Holy shit!
Fucking murdered. I actually turned that game off in the Friday
I did too.
I'm like,
I did too. The third inning, I was just like, you know what? Because I was telling Gabby, I kind of got into a little rant. I was like, and like, no offense to Chris Flexen, but it's just like, because I would be in the same position felt as I was him. It's like he gave up he couldn't even make it out of the second inning, gave up like 7 runs. But like after you give up the first like 2 or 3 runs, you have to feel so much pressure as a Mariners pitcher that you're just like, what do I do? I have to be perfect from here on out. Because if I give up another run, on some little fluke mistake,
Mariners can't score 4.
The game's over. Fuck? The game's over. And it's just like, I think the Padres are actually the perfect team to play foil to us to how depressing we are right now. Because it's like, you see Chris Flexen give up those runs, and then the Mariners come up in the next inning, and the bats are so lifeless. They've already given up. It was only 4-1. After that first inning, it was 4-1. We were down 3 runs, and the Mariners literally were so lifeless, couldn't even run after hitting the ball. And I told Gabby after that first inning, I was just like, this is going to tell you a lot about the character of the Mariners. Because they're coming up now with the heart of the order, basically. You know, it's because it was Haniger hit a home run or something. I can't remember exactly how he scored, but we were up 1-0 before the Padres even got to bat. Then they scored 4 runs in the first inning. But we had like the 6th, 7th, and 8th, or 5, 6, and 7 batters up, something like that. And I was like, here's the middle of the order. This will show you the character. I told Gabby, I was like, this will show you the character of the Seattle Mariners. After their starter went out there, had a really rough time, gave up 4 runs. Watch these at-bats, because I've seen this a million times with the Mariners. They're just going to go up there. They're going to swing at trash. They're going to give half effort. They're not going to run the bases. You know, they're going to hit a ball and not try and run it out, right? And that's exactly what happened. They literally just they showed immediately in the second inning of the game. They gave up as a team in the second inning of a baseball game. And I know you're playing the Padres. I know you're playing one of the best teams in baseball. Right. I know it's rough, but these guys are professional athletes. And like, you and I sit back and defend the Mariners as much as we can and love these guys. But I said this to Gabby too. I was like, here's the difference between even this year's team and last year's team is they have no heart. They have no character. They have no they gave up in the second inning. The last year's Mariners team would have still tried to put together a rally or something, would have done it for themselves, if not to like win the game, right? Would have been like, you know what, I'm gonna freaking try in this game because I'm a Major League Baseball player. I'm trying to earn a spot on this team. Like, I don't know if all these guys just think that their spots are ready because there's just no one at the, there's no one at the minor league level like ready to come up and replace them. But like, they're toast. Like, they gave up in the second inning. That might be the honorary mention for the other worst thing I saw, was them giving up in the second inning of a baseball game. It was 4-1. And they gave up in the second inning of that game. They're done. They're ready to go home. In the first game of a 3-game series in beautiful San Diego, and they gave up. Like, of course I turned the game off. Of course you turned the game off. The players gave up. Why would we sit there and watch that shit after they've already quit?
I mean, there's so much that goes into it too. Is that what I've noticed and what fucking kills me about watching the Mariners is 80% of the game is watching the Mariners pitch, because the offense, is so dead that it's 1, 2, 3 innings.
Yeah, they don't even work a count. They don't work any counts. Innings. They don't take any pitches. They swing it back.
It's terrible. When I'm watching baseball, I don't want to watch my team pitch. I want to watch the motherfuckers hit the fucking ball. Unless it's Mitch Haniger at the fucking plate, just stop watching. There's no point. Because everyone else is just gonna go up there, swing at fucking garbage, and then walk to first. And even guys like Jared Kelenic are doing, who have only been at the fucking league for a fucking week now.
Yeah, I told Gabby, I was just like, I watched Jared Kelenic make in the last 2 weeks, especially this last week, I've watched Jared Kelenic make multiple errors in the outfield. Even if it doesn't count as an error in the playbook, which he's had those as well already, it's just mental mistakes, right? Mental mistakes on playing a ball, how to play a ball, how to prepare yourself. I've already watched that. I've watched him not run out grounders. And I'm going to give you the best thing I saw this week. I saw Fernando Tatis run out an easy grounder. And he almost beat it. I can't remember exactly which it was. I think it might have been yesterday's game that stood out to me. And I told Gabby, I was like, this is the difference between the Mariners and the Padres. And it's not the fact that they have more talented players, that they have more MLB-ready players. It's not that. It's the character of their team. If you watch a guy like Fernando Tatis that is batting 300 or something, and he hits an easy ground out, but he still tries to run it out, that's the difference. That was the best thing I saw this week, because I was like, everyone talks about the Mariners wanting to be the Padres. There's even an article out. I think there was a big post about it on Reddit too, being the Mariners always say they want to be the Padres. They want to be the next Padres, the next team that makes a splash, the next team that jumps onto the scene with all their prospects. But the difference is that, and the Padres don't have, they have a rough history just like the Mariners do too, right? But the difference is that when a player becomes a Mariner, they're cursed or something, or they give up, they quit, and I think the first thing that frustrates me the most is that this is something that the players had talked about, wanting to change and start a new culture in Seattle. Yes. You already have a guy like Jared Kelenic that appears to be, and I'm not even talking about his play. I'm fine. The reality is I wish that a guy came out and was like Tatis, and when he came up and he hit 300 right off the bat and was hitting bombs. That didn't happen. Hasn't happened with Jared Kelenic, right? He came up and realistically, I think we said this at the beginning of the season. He's going to be brought up too early. We already knew this was going to happen. But now he's already adapted to, and this is maybe a lack, I don't know if there's a lack of clubhouse leaders or the type of leaders we have that aren't in the clubhouse to kind of guide some of these younger people, but they've already come up and they've adopted this Mariners mentality of half-assing it. And I've already seen it. I've already watched Jared Kelenic. I don't care if he hits 150. I really do not care if he hits 150. If he hits 150 after 300 plate appearances, I'm going to be wow, this is actually really bad, and I'm worried. But after what's he at, 25, 30 plate appearances? I do not care that he's hitting 150. What I care about is that he's not running out ground balls. What I care about is that he's making mental errors in the outfield. He's not playing a ball right. He's not playing it off the hop right. These things that he's supposed to be our center fielder of the future, and he can't play left field? And I don't want to rag on. I really didn't want. I've been thinking these things about Jared Kelenic just because he's been visibly frustrating for me, and part of the reason is that he's a new frustrator, right? I've already spent the last month being frustrated by most of these guys. Now the Mariners threw me a new fresh face that's supposed to be the future of our franchise. that has talked a big game. He's talked a big game about wanting to change the culture of everything. He's talked a big game about how he should be at the major leagues, how he's major league ready, but the Mariners are just holding him back, right? And he won't sign a new contract. He won't sign a long-term deal with the Mariners because they're trying to manipulate his service time, which every team does. And I'm fine with him if that's his true position, but you also have to back it up on the field. Because if you talk a big game like that Kelenic has done in the media and through his agent and everything like that, if you show up and you play with like no heart and you play without this attitude that you say that you're going to bring to the club, and maybe it's just because he's hitting 150. This is a dude that's never hit 150 in his entire life, so he's probably shell shocked.
Dude's literally never had a bad week before.
Yeah, he's never had a bad week before in his life. He's literally, I mean, you know the movie, Saving Private Ryan? Like, I understand that Jared Kelenic is living through the opening 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan right now, where he's literally just shell-shocked on the beach of Normandy. But, also at the same time, like, this, when push comes to shove, your real character shines through. And I'm not giving up on Jared Kelenic yet, but, like, I'm just kind of sitting there like, interesting, right? Interesting. Yeah. All these things that you talk about, I don't care. I really do not care that you're batting 150. But when you're making, like, super simple mental mistakes of, like, not hitting your cutoff guy, not, playing a ball off the hop the right way, right? Like, the grass is not any different than it was at AAA and AA.
Certainly not any greener.
Yeah, you should know how to play a ball. You should know how to play a ball. You should know how to field your position. That's the one thing, like, he's supposed to be our 5-tool player. He's looked terrible in the outfield. I'm actually kind of interested what his defensive war and stuff like that has been right now, because he's been, that's the biggest thing that's shocked me, have been how rough it has been to watch him play outfield. And so maybe that's my third worst thing I saw, but what did I say? That's the best thing I saw was, like, the character and effort that Tatis plays with and the lack of it from, so I guess I have multiple worst things I saw. Do you have anything that fits the best thing you saw this week for yourself?
Honestly, I have, like, nothing good other than, like, the one moment where Mitch Haniger was tied for the home run crown.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, he's still fighting for it.
He's still fighting for it. He was holding it. He was tied for it, I should say, for, like, a day or two, and, like, fucking goddamn stupid fucking pitcher boy Ohtani. It's like, I'm just gonna go hit 4 home runs tomorrow, and then he did. we're like, okay, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Like, we're all fucking playing, like, I don't know, dude. We're all just playing, like, fucking loser ball, and he's over here playing fucking hero man, main character boy.
Ohtani's basically just like, you know what? I have to live up to the hype because they literally made the MLB The Show, Road to the Show franchise road specifically for me, so I'm just gonna go out and be the best player of all time.
He's literally the main character of baseball.
Yeah, that's it. Shohei Ohtani is the main character of baseball right now. Oh god. Oh wait, here we go. Fielding, advanced stats. Jared Kelenic. Let's see here. I don't know, like, I don't know how to. I don't know, like, how these metrics work against, like, league average or whatever. But he has negative numbers for his, like, total zone rating, negative numbers for defensive runs saved, negative run numbers for zone rating, runs above average. Like, his sabermetric fielding stats are below average. So, yeah, I mean, that's been the one thing that's, like, shocked me about Kelenic.
Maybe some of it comes down to him, like, playing center field in the minor leagues, and now he's immediately moving to left. And I guess that's kind of different.
I can't imagine. Is it that much of a difference? Has he really never played left field? Or, like,
I don't think so. But okay, to show you how little Jared Kelenic is trying when he's running out of ball, he is a plus speed outfielder. Okay.
Yeah.
His baseball savant Statcast sprint speed that bottom 7% in the league.
Wow, really?
Dude is literally just not trying when he's running. Like, how is that possible? We know this kid is actually a fucking really fast sprinter, right?
He's supposed to be our 5-tool player.
How are they tracking him at 7% sprint speed? That's terrible.
That's like Nelson Cruz level of speed.
That is literally Nelson Cruz level 42-year-old fucking walking around the bases speed.
You're going to have to hit 40 home runs in a season, Jared, before you can run at Nelson Cruz speed.
Yeah, especially at 21, dude.
Here's the thing. This is sad because this is like the first we've talked about Jared Kelenic, and I don't want to be like the Jared Kelenic hating podcast because I don't want that to be. I don't want that to be us, and I don't think that's us. But I think it's like I said, he's just like the new kid to pick on for us, right? And he's done a lot of, in my opinion, really stupid things. And I'm not even going to complain about his batting at all. None of it has to do with his batting. I know there was a ton of people. The first day he came up, he went like 0 for 4 or something. It was like, This kid's a bust. This kid's this and that. And it's like, guys, calm down.
It's realistically, everybody knows there is a huge fucking gap between MLB pitchers and AAA pitchers.
And here's the thing. He only spent like a couple weeks at AAA. He's realistically, he is coming from AA 2 years ago to playing in the major league level.
I mean, even more interesting is that like he basically played spring training with us, and then they're like, "All right, go home, just hang out at your home." And after like a month of sitting around at home practicing on his own, they're like, "All right, let's play some AAA games."
Well, and he was great in spring training too.
Yeah, no, he was great in both of these scenes. But after like 4 games at AAA, they're like, "All right, now we've seen enough. Come to the show." Like, what do you mean? Like, I've just basically taken a month off, and now you want me to get my fucking swing down and everything? Like,
yeah,
not how baseball works.
Yeah, I have no problem. I'm not here to judge Jared Kelenic's bat for another like 50 games. I really am not.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say give it a month before I can give you like.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it like after the trade deadline. That's what I want to like. I'm gonna say this right now. I don't want to talk about Jared Kelenic's bat unless it's good stuff until the trade deadline because I really do not care. But it's like when I see the mental errors, when I see like the lack of effort, the everything else, like that's when I am just like so frustrated, right?
Yeah. Dude, my boy's only got 5 hits. 5 hits and 39 appearances.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yikes. That was rough. All right, do you want to talk about the Mariners injury army, or?
Oh my god, yeah, okay, so let's actually just break down into the news. Well, I guess first thing we talked about, I think we've already said enough about Jared Kelenic. Logan Gilbert was brought up. Before we go into all the roster changes, Logan Gilbert was brought up. He's had 2 outings now. Kind of scuffed, but looking fine, yeah. Like I think he looks good.
Starting pitcher, and like starting pitchers always have a really rough time as soon as they get to the show, right?
I personally like saw a lot of promise. Like obviously not the results that you really want in any case, but like I feel like I saw a lot of promise, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see him brought up. I'm happy to see some of these guys brought up. I'm not happy with the situation, with the fact that we've lost like our entire pitching staff. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Let's get right into it. These are all the names that have gone to the IL. All right, Margavicius, after his terrible outing, he's now officially gone to the 60-day IL. LJ Newsome, after going to the 10-day IL, is now on the 60-day IL. Evan White, 10-day IL. Dylan Moore, 10-day IL. Ty France, 10-day IL. Kendall Graveman, 10-day IL. And then we got COVID. We had COVID. We had Will Vest, Drew Steckenrider, Duggar, and Anthony Misowitz that all went to the IL with COVID. Misowitz has officially been cleared. He's actually already been activated after just a couple days. And more to say about the COVID stuff. He's already kind of figured that out. We've also had other roster moves. We had Taylor Trammell that was optioned. We had Aaron Fletcher who was optioned. We had Wyatt Mills, Gonzaga prospect, who was optioned. Luis Torrens optioned. I hope we never see Luis Torrens again. Jose Marmoleos was designated for assignment, cleared waivers, outrighted to Tacoma, so we still have Marmo. Braden Bishop, designated for assignment, claimed by the Giants, and Brady Lyle was designated for assignment and claimed by the Phillies. Then, we've also activated some people. We basically have had a whole new bullpen go up and down, up and down, up and down. The most interesting names, I would say, we had Johan Ramirez, who was recalled. Anthony Misowitz, again, was activated from COVID. Donovan Walton was recalled. I'm actually super hyped to see Donovan Walton. And then finally, like, Jake Fraley should be coming back soon. He's had a couple rehab assignments in Tacoma.
Thank God. Jake,
obviously,
Jake,
we
come
know.
back and save us.
Obviously, we know Marco is coming through his rehab process. He should be back eventually. Paxton's done for the year. We've already talked about.
Supposedly Shed Long is going to fit into this somewhere as well.
Yeah, Shed Long is eventually going to get healthy, which I'm pretty hyped about. Like, honestly, I'm just ready for any new faces in this lineup when it comes to in the lineup.
Yeah, oh my God.
I mean, the bullpen's a disaster. Some of these morons, I don't know, do you want to talk about the COVID stuff?
No, I don't. I heard they fucking have said some shit about COVID too that I just don't even want to talk about. I'm pretending they didn't.
Oh, some of the Mariners players have?
Yeah. So
I didn't even hear about that.
So the Mariners players have the lowest COVID vaccination rate out of their players, out of any organization in all of baseball.
Yeah, they just refuse to get COVID.
I think it's the bullpen guys are literally like, we're not getting vaccinated. Like, the vaccination is a lie. Like, we're not getting vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting because it's so like bad. The Mariners and this just compared to last season, we have one of the most progressive, forward-thinking group of players, right? Yeah. Last season, when it comes to things like social justice, other things like that. This year, we've officially become the team that's the like stuck in the mud, old school. And it's like, here's the thing: if they don't want to get vaccinated, I personally don't get where they're coming from. But I understand that it's their choice, right?
Yep.
But we also get to judge them for that. And I think there's an article that came out in the Seattle Times that basically said the exact same thing. It might have been the exact same title. I might have just ripped it from them.
Like, I think you did.
They can choose not to get vaccinated. They can choose what they want to do with their body. It's the same choice that I would expect would be provided to almost every person in this world. But there are some things you don't get to do if you choose that, and it could potentially become that you don't get to be a Major League Baseball player, because the reality is, to like a lot of these guys played in college. If you want to go to college, you have to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
If you want to work in certain fields and professions, you have to get vaccinated. You can essentially be forced to be vaccinated, and I say forced in the sense that if you want to work in these professions, if you want to attend university, do things like that, you have to be vaccinated, right? So the reality is. The reality is that it's going to get to a point, and they make all the comments about this being like an experimental drug, an emergency-approved vaccination, all that jazz. And that's fine. Like, that's a perspective. I honestly don't think that they're entirely wrong. But it might get to the point where, and especially when we're seeing people that have even got the jab and have gotten COVID, or people that have gotten COVID multiple times, like, you're going to have to get vaccinated. You're going to have to get some of these things. Like, there's I'm pretty sure that they have to get, like, measles vaccinations to be allowed to be an MLB player. Like,
yeah.
Like, I kind of wish to some extent that they would just require this stuff so we didn't have to lose. And here's another thing, too, is that the thing that is most frustrating for me as a fan is that you're putting your teammates at risk, and not at risk of, like, dying, but at risk of, like, losing time, right? Because you guys are losing time. You guys are losing time at the Major League level. These are games missed that you'll never get back, right? What if you had gone out and been, like, thrown a perfect inning or thrown a perfect game or thrown an immaculate inning during this time, right? But because you got COVID, you missed that opportunity. But then you're also risking the careers of your teammates, right? Because if your teammates are, not able to get vaccinated, or even get vaccinated but get COVID from you anyways, because it's not a 100% effective vaccine, then you're causing them to miss time. And they're not losing money, but they're losing these valuable parts of their careers, especially for a program, an organization like the Mariners, who are trying to develop these guys and this time that they have is very precious, because this is the time where we're supposed to be getting better. We're not doing that, obviously. We're playing like shit. But this is supposed to be the time that we're developing into the next playoff team, right? The next Mariners playoff team. We can't be doing that if everyone's getting sick. So that's where I come down on the vaccine, being that you're putting your own career at risk, you're putting your teammates' careers at risk. Think about all the players all the time that get injured and sent down and never come up to the major leagues again. It happens all the time. That's something that could happen with COVID as well. So that's why my personal position is like...
I mean, injuries that ruin people's careers happen all the time. I mean, look at one of our boys, Furbush, right? Like, he literally hurt his arm, and he was literally a monster, one of the best relief pitchers in the game. Yeah, hurt his arm, never came back.
And the way I see it,
to anyone.
Yeah, and that COVID could cause something like that. It's unlikely, right? But COVID could cause you to have some sort of reaction or some sort of terrible thing like that. And the reality is that if you actually believe that you're just strong enough to beat COVID, then you're probably strong enough to handle the vaccine as well.
Right.
That's where some of these guys are coming from. Like, oh, I'm a fit young person. I don't need to get this. I don't need to do that. Well, it's like if you're strong enough to beat COVID, you're probably strong enough to get a vaccine and be totally fine. I'm pretty sure you and I are both vaccinated. I was perfectly fine. I didn't even have any symptoms from the second shot.
No,
I literally had nothing.
So Mandy was sick for like a day, but I literally like had a sore arm for like a couple hours, and then I was like, "Yep, that's it. I'm good."
Yeah. The next morning, I had a sore arm for maybe like 90 minutes to 2 hours, and I was fine. No fever, no illness, no nothing. I'm an overweight 28-year-old that just sits at my computer all day, right? It sits in my office. I'm the least athletic person in the world. And these prime athletes are scared to get it. They don't think they can handle it. They don't think they need it. It's like, again, like if you think you're strong enough to just like fight COVID, you're probably strong enough to handle the vaccine too. That's the way I don't think that's a good enough excuse, in my opinion, that you don't need the vaccine because you can beat COVID and you're not scared of COVID. Well, if that's the case.
I mean, it's like bigger than them, and how I see it is, it's like, I mean, you're kind of like a role model for a lot of people, and the way you're gonna act is gonna show a lot of your fans and a lot of the younger players around you and a lot of people in the organization like what they can get away with. And so like you like doing some irresponsible shit like not getting the vaccine because you think you're just fucking a fucking man's man who doesn't need it is like fucking like grow the fuck up and like realize who you are and realize what you're fucking doing.
Yeah.
And like the influence you have. It's so stupid, dude.
Well, it puts your teammates in such a bad position. Look at how many non-COVID related IL stuff we're dealing with as an organization.
Yes.
And then you have to put on 4 more guys, and because at such a low vaccination rate, that everyone else is going to get sick. We're already over the last 2 weeks, we're already one of the worst teams in baseball. And then you're going to add this to it, and you're going to jeopardize the rest of this. Like, we're going to be feeling really stupid, especially this, and this is a very possible thing that could happen. The Mariners might turn it on in the second half of the year. They might start to figure it out. They have a lot of young guys who could turn the corner coming up soon, but we're going to lose all these games because of injuries, and some of that is related to COVID. And what happens if we're at the end of the season, we make a great run, but we miss the playoffs by 3 games?
Well, that's exactly what happened last season, right? Literally exactly what happened. Is that like, so the first 3 weeks of the season, not good. The rest of the season, fucking awesome. But because of the first 3 weeks were so bad, we missed the playoffs by like 2 days.
Yeah. Like, you can't win. We've said this all the time. You cannot play yourself into the playoffs in the first 2 weeks, but you can sure as hell play yourself out of the postseason in the first 2 weeks. And it's been we're talking the first 2 months here of the game of the season, right? But we've pretty much done that. It's I don't know, just the momentum and everything against us. Like, luckily we played well enough in the first month of the season that our record isn't so bad. But I mean, we've officially dug ourselves a hole. We're 4 games under 500. What are we in the standings? Have we dropped down to
third place?
We're in third. Okay, we haven't dropped down to 4th.
Yeah, we're in 3rd place. I think it's pretty close. I mean, the Angels and the fucking A's terrible.
The Rangers are only a game behind us. We play them next week. We have to play two of our next 3 series against the Athletics. We play against the Rangers. If we lose today, we could be tied for 4th with the Rangers, tied for 3rd, I guess. But we're 1 game away from 4th, 2 games away from 5th place. It's very possible that the next time we talk on this podcast, the Mariners could be in last place, especially, and they will be. They will be if this current trend continues. If the way they are playing now continues, they will be.
I mean, they've lost 5 in a row. Like, it's about as bad as it gets, right?
Yeah, I mean, literally, if you take away that one series, it was worse before that, right? If you just take away this one series, and it doesn't work this way, right? But we went 3-1 against the Indians. If you take away that one series, we're easily the worst team in baseball. Or even if you manage to not make a comeback in like one of those games, all of a sudden we only went 2-2 against the Indians, right? Mm-hmm. So things could be way more bleak. Maybe we should consider ourselves a little lucky. Probably not, though. There was one thing
I
of
don't
good
know, man.
news. Well, there's one little bit of good news. Jose Goody, or is that how you would say his name? He
Oh,
became
it was Goodell.
Goodell?
I
It's
think it's Goodell.
Godoy. That's how you pronounce it?
Oh.
Jose Goodell? Godoy?
That's what I thought, but maybe it's Godoy. I don't know. Who cares?
Well, I care because he became the 2000th player in Major League Baseball history. That's kind of cool.
Woo! Cool.
It's a Mariners
Yep.
player, a backup catcher.
Yay!
That doesn't
we
move the
lucked
needle
into a
for you?
title. No, we looked into a title.
That doesn't move the needle for you. Okay, that's cool. Oh my god. Okay. Well, yeah. As we mentioned, I think I already went through it. Last week's been pretty rough. We're over our last 2 weeks. We're 3-8.
I think I'm suffering Mariners depression.
Yeah, I really didn't want. I knew that this is the way this podcast was going to feel. I didn't want it to, but some of this stuff has made me heated between the COVID, between, it's really not Jared Kelenic. I hate to go back to this. I just think he's a symptom.
Not at all.
I think he's a symptom. He's obviously not a cause, and he's not the bad guy, right? But he's a symptom of a problem that the Mariners have, and it's that whenever a guy comes up, whether it be a curse or whether it just be clubhouse culture. And I think it actually really hurts that the way this season started off. Think about it this way, too. I was talking, and kind of Gabby asked me, she's like, is the team really that different? And I was like, well, you're missing some key, heart-type pieces, right? Like, you're missing the D. Gordon. Even like Malik Smith at the beginning of, we didn't have him at the beginning of last season, but you're missing a guy like D. Gordon. You didn't start the season with a huge emotional guy like Kyle Lewis. He wasn't with the team to start the season, right? Now, this last month, you're missing another emotional leader in Marco Gonzalez, who literally his injury was bad enough that he was not with the team until, last week. He just rejoined the team to do some of his rehab stuff just last week, right? So he was gone from the team for, 2 or 3 weeks.
I really didn't see that coming. I can't believe Marco's been out of the game for, 20 days at this point.
Yeah. I remember us talking about it. We're like, oh, he's only going to miss one start. No, he's missed, 3 weeks.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're missing, and he wasn't with the team for 2 to 3 of those weeks. So that's another emotional leader. Then we look at the other guys who are other leaders on the team. They're not the kind of guys that get you motivated. If it's the Mitch Hanigers, the Kyle Seagers, those are the kind of guys that they lead by example. Right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
If they're struggling, Kyle Seager is really struggling right now. Mitch Haniger is playing okay, but not great, right? And these are guys that are kind of focusing on themselves. They're not the kind of guy that's going to get you hyped up and get you ready to go. So I think that having Kyle Lewis miss the beginning of the year, not having a guy like D. Gordon, we're really missing the veteran presence on this team and the emotional leadership. And I think that's what's different from last year. I think that's the big difference. Because really this team is not much different from last year. But to me, that's the big difference, is that we do not have an emotional heartbeat on this team right now. We do not have anyone that can drive us forward. They literally, I can't imagine what this was like. They called a players meeting after the Tigers series. Who spoke at that meeting? Who had anything to say? Literally all the guys that you would normally have as your, emotional center of the team are hurt like Marco, or trying to figure out their own stuff like Kyle Lewis. Did Kyle Seager, could you imagine Kyle Seager got up and is like, all right, boys, we got to do this and that and do these things? No, Tommy Pickles I can't imagine that Tommy Pickles is able to rally the troops like that.
Because Mitch is literally, kind of slumping himself, except for once a day, he just, runs into a fucking fastball and hits it a million miles.
Yeah. I would love to be in that meeting, because I want to know who was the guy that stood up and was like, all right, boys, here's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, it couldn't be Kyle Lewis, right?
And he maybe could have, but he's too young. Yeah, and
he's too young.
Exactly. He's. I imagine him that he has that personality that you can really kind of rally around, but probably not right now. He's working. He has to work on himself first, right? He's came injured. He came in, had a terrible start to his season because he's coming off an injury. Is starting to figure it out, right? He's starting to figure it out, but he's not there yet. I cannot imagine that they were able to all be okay, Kyle, what do we do? I wish I was at that meeting, because I would love to know who actually talked and tried to rally the troops.
Probably someone. But so like that's a big thing.
Tom Murphy.
Tom Murphy. But that's a
Maybe.
big thing that like Mariners fans don't totally get is that you do need some older dudes on the team to like kind of be like the adults and sitting at the kids' table, right?
Yeah.
So like,
look at Albert Pujols.
Yes.
Albert Pujols. The Dodgers are kind of scuffling. Albert Pujols goes over there. Not only does he spark some life with the team with his bat, hits a home run, gets a double. Contributing to the team, hitting cleanup for them. But also, he brings that veteran leadership. He's the type of guy, too, that stands up at the clubhouse and tells everyone what's going on, right? The Mariners do not have that kind of guy. So I do not see them being able to get out of this slump. They don't have, because, even before, D. Gordon wasn't playing, but no, he was the type of guy that for sure stood up at those meetings and talked, and those player-only meetings, and told everyone what was up, right? Nelson Cruz, when he was here, was like that,
Speaking of D. Gordon, he's hitting like 350 for the Reds right now.
No, is he playing every day?
Yeah, he's an everyday second
baseman.
Oh
my god, I hate baseball.
Playing out of his fucking mind.
Well, that's what so we didn't even mention this. Our boy Braden Bishop, off to the Giants. He's gonna be the leadoff hitter with hitting 350, right?
He's gonna fucking I don't know what the right way to say it without making him sound like a cheater is, but roid up and just start hitting fucking piss missiles to fucking right field.
Yeah, well, probably actually, because that's what what's his name plays for the Dodgers now. Was our second used to be our second baseman.
Taylor, whatever.
Chris Taylor. Yeah, went from being a complete bust with us to just hitting rockets and hitting leadoff for the World Championship Dodgers.
So who would have thunk? Leadoff Chris Taylor for the Dodgers has 75 plus home runs.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have said that was gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm excited because Braden Bishop is all but guaranteed to hit 320 and be the leadoff hitter for the Giants for the next 5 years.
Yeah, probably gonna play.
You know what? Great guy too. Couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, and he's playing with his brother. His brother is one of the top prospects over there.
Oh, that's true.
Really fun organization for him to go to.
Oh, I don't even know. Okay, where are we at here? We've already kind of talked about the batting. Defense, we kind of covered that. Bullpen, they're just literally just trying to scrounge together 6 guys that can throw every night. Starting pitching, I'll say this. Aside from, Chris Flexen has had a couple blowouts. I thought, Sheffield looked really good last night. Justin Dunn looked good, aside from that 1 or 2 innings that he was bad. I don't have a problem with the starting pitching. I even told Gabby last night, I don't have a problem, really, that Chris Flexen had a bad outing and gave up 4 runs. Because to me, it doesn't matter how many runs these starters give up. Because if they give up 2, the game is over.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but Chris Flexen actually gave up 8 runs, but
in the first inning.
So he went back out for the second and gave up.
Yes.
4.
No, but what really frustrated me, what I was talking about when I was telling Gabby, is I was like, it's only 4-1 right now.
Oh yeah.
Okay. There are teams that are thinking we have 8 innings to come back. The Mariners are the type of team that think, okay, what are we having for dinner tonight?
Right? What the fuck? We can't.
I realize I realized he came back out and gave up more runs, but I'm more it doesn't matter. It does not matter that Chris Flexen came out and gave up 4 more runs, because the fact that he gave up 2 or 3 in the first inning was already enough for us to be screwed.
There's also so much to go into it too, because he gives up those 4 innings. He goes back to the clubhouse. And then the Mariners go down 1-2-3 on 7 pitches, and he's like, "Cool, yeah. I have to go throw another 30 pitches now." Thanks,
these guys that are already beating me up. Yeah, I honestly do not have a problem with our starting pitching or our bullpen, really. I really don't. They're giving me what I expected from them.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Justice Sheffield last night, he ended up giving 4 or 5 runs. But he pitched great for 5 innings, 5-6 innings, right? Whatever it was. He pitched really freaking nasty. But he got no help. He got no breaks in between innings, because literally we were getting sat down. At one point, I think we were retired 11 batters in a row.
Yeah, or 12 or something. It's just fucking
terrible. How do you pitch for that team?
Yeah.
How do you, unless you're a guy that's crazy self-motivated like Felix Hernandez and you want to be the best player of all time, how do you go out there and be wow, my job is to just get slaughtered
every night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how well I pitch. It doesn't matter if I give up 1 inning or 1 run, 2 runs. It doesn't matter if I pitch for 6 innings, 7 innings. It doesn't matter if I go 8 innings. It doesn't matter how long I go, how well I do.
Just don't work.
I cannot will this team to a win. So I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I actually think I was really pumped by Justice Sheffield's outing last night, even though he ended up giving up 5 or 6 runs by the end of it, right? I was really, Chris Flexen, tough. I'm not, he had a rough go of it, whatever. But like Justin Dunn the last few times out has been good. Logan Gilbert, I'm honestly actually impressed. He's made some pitches that look really good. He's made a couple mistakes, right, that you would expect from a young pitcher. But for the most part, I think Logan Gilbert has been pretty good his first couple outings.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 22, and it's his first couple outings in the show. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
they're not gonna go well.
I don't have a problem with the starting pitching right now, because it doesn't matter what they do. the way that our lineup is going, it does not matter what the starting pitching does at this point.
Yeah,
it's so unfortunate.
So I think
I don't know where it starts
really
though.
About is like, are you happy with the job Scott Servais is doing? Like, do you think he needs to be doing more to like bring this to whip this team into shape or anything, or do you think it's just like one of those things where it's like the roster is so injured that like at this point it's like fuck it, just let them do whatever. Like they're probably not their win chance is probably going to be like 3 out of 10 anyways because like the roster is just so bad.
I will say this, it doesn't matter that I think Scott Servais is useless, because I don't think that I don't think even if he was good, he could single-handedly fix this.
No way. That's not what I'm saying. But do you think that he needs to do a better job of maybe like firing the guys up, like throw some shit around, kick someone out?
I guess what is he supposed to do though?
Because here's the thing, get ejected. I don't know.
If it was the situation where it's like we were playing great, but then Scott Servais, like, here's what I would say. What's his name? Is it Tony La Russa or LaRoche or whoever is the manager for...
Yeah, Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa for the White Sox. If I was a White Sox fan, I would be like, you got to get this guy the hell out of here.
Oh, fucking fire him.
He's not an advocate for our players. He's not an emotional leader for our team. He is useless.
He's just some old dude sitting in the fucking dugouts spewing fucking nonsense to some fucking dudes who are like, why is this guy here?
Yeah, he's not an advocate for his player. He doesn't understand the heartbeat of his team or the nature of his team or the makeup of his team. He's not a supporter of his players. He literally was like, oh, if I was, what was it with the Twins issue? Like, yeah, I totally expect them to throw at our guys. And I think that's, he basically said, what was his name? Like, Mercedes or whoever was the one that hit. Yeah, he basically said that he deserved to get hit the next game. And sure enough, they threw right at him, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy. If I was a White Sox fan, I would be like, they gotta get this guy the hell out of here.
Oh, dude, I mean, I'm not even that big of a White Sox fan, but like, you gotta fire that dude. Are you kidding me? Like that, you can't do that.
He's not an advocate of his players, right?
You're not a coach. You don't have the best interest of your team at heart. You're literally just fucking spewing nonsense to the fucking Twins because like maybe you have a fucking friend over there or something.
Yeah, he's all up in arms, worried about the integrity of a baseball game. Like, you know what? Like. Yeah. If you didn't want to get, here's the thing. I'm not saying like go up and beat on position players pitching, but he's the dude on the mound, right? You hit the pitches that are thrown to you. That's the way I see it. You hit the pitches that are thrown to you. If maybe I'm not saying take a free out. Like, here's the thing. Your stats matter. I'm not saying take a free out. I'm not saying you don't have to take every guy a yard or whatever. But it's like, yeah, their coach is just not an advocate of the team. I don't think that's Scott Servais. And here's the thing is that I think we need someone better than Servais to like take us forward, right? But Scott Servais doesn't make these guys come up from like when these guys come up from AAA. And here's the thing about the Mariners players at AAA. Look at Taylor Trammell. Taylor Trammell's hitting like 350 at AAA right now in the 2 weeks that he's been there.
Yep.
If Taylor Trammell comes back up and hits 200 again, how is that Scott Servais' fault? I'm not saying like Scott Servais Scott Servais is a problem, but the fact that whenever a Mariner player comes up and puts on that Mariners jersey, whether it's they're cursed or they just don't care or what it is, like the attitude of the team, I don't know how it's Scott Servais' job to change the way the Mariners have been for 20 years.
That's true. I mean,
it is kind of it is his job in the sense that he could try, he could do something about it. But like again, I guess my point is like this is the way it's always been. I don't know if we're cursed. Like I said, I don't know if we're cursed. I don't know what it is. It's just a cultural thing, and like to some extent, it is Scott Servais' job to change the culture of the team. But what about what's the player's responsibility? Because I just don't see any of that from our current roster, and these are all guys that I like. These are all guys I want to like root for, but I don't see this current roster. Even if like, how do we know? Like maybe Scott is just like mentally destroying these guys and is the cause of all the problems. But maybe he's also someone who's like behind the scenes is like really trying to get the guys going. Like from all accounts, it sounds like Scott is more of a player's coach and is an advocate for his players and is always on their side. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
From what I've seen visually, like Scott Servais, he's not the type of coach that gets mad and gets himself kicked out of games, but he seems like the kind of coach that's on his players' side and is an advocate for his players. That's all I'm asking from Scott Servais. I'm at the point now, especially because so many of these young players coming up, like Jared Kelenic, have talked about wanting to change the culture, change the culture to a winning culture or whatever it is, and then they come up and play with no heart. Like, again, I hate to roast on Jared Kelenic. He's just a very visible person that's done this, right? Is that he talked for so long about wanting to change the culture in Seattle. Him and Julio are best buds, and he's like, we want to change the culture in Seattle. We want to be a fun club. We want to be a club that wins games. We want to bring a championship to Seattle, all this. And then he comes up and plays with no focus and mental fortitude and heart. Like, at some point, we have to start blaming the players. And we've blamed the organization and the coaches for long enough. Is it really the players, the same type of players have been here for a long time, right? The players, but we've had how many different managers over the last 20 years? 5, 6, 7? Like, is it, do we just happen? Are you saying that we're just so bad at finding managers that we always find ones that are terrible? Or at some point do we have to put a little bit of the onus on the players to motivate themselves and get themselves going? Like, you guys are being paid millions of dollars. And I hate to make this excuse that, like, they're paid players, they're professionals. They should be trying harder because they're making so much money. But to some extent, like, I'm not even talking about the money they make. This is the sport that you apparently love and you're passionate about.
You're passionate enough to play here professionally.
Yeah, so passionate that you've crafted your art over years and years and years. You've slogged your way through the minor leagues. And then the moment that you get to the Mariners and you put on that major league jersey, all of a sudden you throw all that away and it doesn't matter anymore. Like, I think to some extent, and I'm not saying that it's entirely the player's fault, just like I'm not saying it's entirely the org's fault. I mean, here's the thing too. Based on everything that happened with like the Kevin Mather situation, right? I understand the players not wanting to try very hard for the Mariners. But if you don't want to try hard for your org, at least try hard for yourself and your teammates. That's all I'm asking, right?
Yes.
And that's what I'm not seeing. Maybe I'm misreading the situation, but that's what I'm not seeing right now, is them trying hard for themselves and each other. Like, throw the org out of it. Throw the fans out of it. Throw the coaching staff out of it. If you can't at least get up for yourself and get up for your brothers, I have to put some blame on you.
No, I completely agree.
I don't know. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I just want the Mariners to play better. Like, they're just not worth watching right now.
Here's the thing. Our next 4 series, I believe, are against the A's, the Rangers, the A's, and the Angels. If there was ever a time to turn it around,
get good. Yeah.
If there was ever a time, this is maybe some of the 4 most important. Like, it's one thing to play terrible against the Dodgers and the Tigers and the Padres. These are your divisional opponents. These games just simply matter more. They simply do, because it's a zero-sum game, right? If you win, the other team has to lose, and that directly affects the standings. There's no like, oh, we both won today, so we keep pace, right? It's literally, if you beat the A's, you are 1 game closer to first place, right? Well, I guess they're not in first anymore. The Astros are, but you get the point, right? Like, you're directly making progress against in division rivals. So these next 4 series simply matter more. And that's why I'm saying, like, we're going to see the Mariners are either going to continue being terrible and we're going to see a last place Mariners team. And I frankly believe that if the Mariners get into last place this year, they will stay that way for the rest of the year. Or they're going to actually start winning some games. You know? There's a time to turn it around. It's this time. It's now. The time is now.
We'll definitely just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sure.
So,
anything else to add?
No, I'm just depressed.
Okay. I think we skip MVP.
No, I'm not giving out any awards.
No awards this time. This is the first. This is Corner of Edgar and Dave podcast first. We're officially skipping weekly awards.
Dude, we're at depression.
A well-deserved award this week.
Yeah, well-deserved award this week. The awards go to the fans for continuing to watch this garbage team and staying true to the blue, or fucking seeing us rise, or whatever the stupid fucking motto you want to go with.
Oh, God. All right. That's it for this pod. Rant is over. Go M's.
Go M's, I guess.
There's a drive deep right field.